thought this week it would be fun to show you a what I eat in a week video. Realistic, balanced meals. It's the holiday season, and I don't know, if you're like me, you're probably pretty busy. Not only am I working long hours this next week, but there's also all the holiday stuff going on, right? So I need easy meals. And I don't want to spend my whole Sunday meal prepping either. That doesn't work for me either. So what I want to share is just a few basic things that I do to keep me on track during the week and to have easy, accessible meals without doing a ton of meal prep. First of all, I've already batch prepped just some brown rice and buckwheat combined, and I can use that for grain bowls, burrito bowls, whatever, burritos, whatever I feel like making with it. I always prep some kind of grains, and I have also a salad prepped for the next couple of days. But one thing that I always struggle with getting enough of during the week, if I don't prepare and don't have anything prepped, is a protein source. Then I end up eating just, a lot of air-fried tofu. A lot of air-fried tofu and tempeh. And while that's good, you like, a little variety sometimes, right? So this week I'm going to show you my super simple seitan recipe that turns out really good. And this is going to be more like a chicken nugget style seitan recipe, but you can flavor it however you like. I find that this basic recipe goes really well for different meals. Any kind of, you can use it for Mexican meals like taco style, barbecue style, or Asian style. So what I'm starting with, let me get that out of the way first of all. What I'm starting with is just 2 cups of Vital Wheat gluten, and that's about all I have left in my jar. So this is the brand of Vital Wheat gluten I like to use, not affiliated or anything, but I get it on Amazon in bulk like this, and I just store it in an airtight container in the pantry, and it stays good for a long time. And I use it not only for my seitan recipes, but I use it in all kinds of other recipes. You can also use it in your flour to make a bread flour out of your regular all-purpose flour. So if you like to make homemade bread or pizza doughs or anything like that, you can add a little bit of Vital Wheat gluten, and it just helps the texture of your bread. So it's good to have on hand, even if you're not making seitan. So I'm going to go ahead and season this up with a little bit of onion and herb Mrs. Dash, and about a tablespoon of that. And I have about a teaspoon of poultry seasoning left in my little jar here. I'm just going to go ahead and use all of that. And I'm also going to use about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of mushroom powder. And this is my favorite one, not expensive, all kinds of good stuff. Lots of good umami flavor in this, and I use it quite often in a lot of different things. Doesn't really taste like mushrooms, but it's a really good product to have on hand. I really like it. And some veggie stock powder, and I'll use about 2 tablespoons of veggie stock powder, and some nutritional yeast. And I'll also use about 2 tablespoons of that. And nutritional yeast, actually I'm going to go in with 3. I think the recipe that I have written down for my trial and error calls for 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast in this recipe. And nutritional yeast really helps the texture of seitan too. If you're not a big fan of traditional kind of rubbery texture of seitan, the nutritional yeast really helps the texture. Another thing that really helps the texture of this recipe is to add some cooked chickpeas, or you could use white navy beans, cannellini beans, or butter beans even. All great lupini beans with a lot of protein. also great. This is really going to give this a satisfying texture. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little bit less rubbery than what a lot of seitan recipes turn out to be. And something that adds a little bit of iron and just a little bit of extra umami to the seitan recipe is just about a tablespoon of molasses. And I like this brand because I know that it's vegan, I've checked it out, and you just have to be careful when you're going for sugars and jarred things like this. Just check and make sure that it is vegan. It's so good. I just love molasses. And if you didn't know, molasses is also actually very high in iron. So, good stuff. And about a cup of water. And if you had a food processor, you could just add this all to a food processor. I still don't have my food processor out of storage. Maybe someday soon. Maybe. I feel it's coming on. I feel like I might need to go get it. But anyway, I'm just going to blend this up real quick. Let's blend it up. And that's the liquid for seitan. And I'm just going to give all of these spices and vital wheat gluten a quick stir. And I'm just going to pour in my wet mixture. And it will just start coming together just like, kind of like a shaggy bread dough. And you'll see a lot of seitan recipes called for you to knead it and steam it and boil it and everything like that. I don't do that, and I find it turns out just fine with this recipe. So this is about the texture that you're looking for. It should just form a ball, be pliable. Now I just like to form it into nuggets like this, and what I'll do with these is I will just put them on a cookie tray and set them in the deep freezer and let them freeze for about an hour until they're frozen separately, and then I'll put them all into one container and put them back in the freezer. That way they don't stick together, and you can cook them as is, right like this, before freezing them. But I'm not going to eat these today. I'm having them for meal prep throughout the week, and this is enough to probably last me a couple of weeks for eating seitan. But what I'll do is I'll just freeze them like this. Just freeze them raw, and whenever I'll get like 5 or 6 out of the freezer at a time, out of the container, and just pop them right in the air fryer or in the pan or on a sheet pan meal, and they'll cook right along with everything else. In the air fryer from frozen, they take about 8 to 10 minutes on 400 degrees, and they just have such a great texture. I will cook some this week, definitely, and show you all the ways that you can use them. Well, not all the ways, but a few ways. Like I said, this is a couple weeks worth of seitan for me. But this is one of the things I like to have prepped. It's so easy. You saw this took like less than 5 minutes to put together, and it's only a few ingredients, and you can season it however you like to season it. Another thing I really struggle with during the week is having time for breakfast. I get up super early. I like to work out in the morning. I like to go for a run. I get up, I do yoga, I go for a run, but I also have to be at work pretty early, 7:30. So I struggle with having a nutritious breakfast if I don't have anything prepared. So one of my favorite things to make sure I get the protein in there is, of course, a smoothie. And I'll have a smoothie generally 3 to 4 times during the work week for breakfast. But occasionally I like something different. So chia puddings are one of my go-tos also. They're packed with nutrition, fiber, and they keep you full. And I add protein powder to mine for the sweetness, and that also helps with me, hitting that protein goal, because trying to build some muscle, you get up to be, a certain age, you start to lose muscle. You really have to work to keep it, unfortunately. So that's about 2 to 3 tablespoons of chia seeds. And this is so filling and satisfying. And I can make this a few days ahead and have this for the next few days, and it will still be good. And this will also give me a little bit of variety. I'll make it just like this, and then on the day that I go to eat it, all I have to do is add some fresh or frozen fruit or granola. And I'm also going to put some of my spirulina powder in here. I like the flavor of this. If you're not familiar, it's just a super nutrient dense blue algae. Really good for you, all kinds of health benefits. And it's such a fun and pretty color too. So I'm just going to go in with a scoop of that. If you're not familiar with it, this is the brand that I use. And no, it doesn't taste like fish. It doesn't taste fishy at all. It has kind of a earthiness to it, but not fishy. I wouldn't say that it's fishy. Not like seaweed flakes or anything like that. To me, it goes really well with fruit. So I'm just adding in some rice milk that I have prepared. And how pretty is that color? And that's a lot of spirulina. If it's your first time tasting it or you're not familiar with it, you could go with like half a scoop per jar and just see how you like it. But I really happen to like the flavor, and I really love the fun color. So that's good for me. And if you wanted to, you could also make this into like an overnight oats and add some oats in here, or another grain that you like. But I like this just as a chia pudding. And that's looking really blue in the light today. It's looking really like super blue. And sometimes you'll get the spirulina that has kind of more of a green color, like a blue-green. But this pack seems to be like Cookie Monster blue, which is fun. I'm not complaining. Just a little bit more dark blue than the last pack I had. How fun is that? So fun. Okay, and I'll just pop these in the fridge, and they will be nice and set up and ready to go to add some fruit to the top when I'm ready to eat a quick breakfast. Really tasty. The next thing I want to share is how easy it is to meal prep with this stuff right here. I have really fallen in love with it. It's textured pea protein. You could also use TVP or soy kernels for this, work just as well. But I have found that this textured pea protein is it's pretty neutral in flavor, and sometimes when I eat too much soy, like if I'm eating tofu every day, it can kind of get to be a lot on my stomach. I find this protein source really easy to digest and really filling and really delicious. Tony, my husband, who is not vegan, I say all the time, I'm trying. I'm trying to get him to eat as many healthy veggies and fruits as I can, and he's come a long way. He's doing great, but he happens to love this stuff too. He said, yeah, he could have that in a taco or a burrito. So for me, that's a win. But it has one ingredient, and that's pea protein. And I love it. So, and it's super easy. And all I'm doing to prep this week is I'm just going to rehydrate this with some hot water, and it only takes a few minutes. It's going to soak up all that hot water and all the spices, and I will just pop the lid on it and put it in the refrigerator, and it will be ready for burrito bowls, nachos, burritos, tacos, tofu scramble, whatever you want to use it on. I love to just use it on burrito bowls or make a quick taco or tostada during the week. And I'm just going in with a little bit of just regular soy sauce. And I have a spice blend. You can season this any way you want to season it. But like I said, I like to have it for burrito bowls or tacos or nachos. So I'm going with like a taco seasoning here. And you can certainly use just the taco seasoning packet. But for me, I find that they're a little bit too salty and don't have enough spice. So I like to make mine a little bit spicier. So I have garlic powder, onion powder, I have cumin, smoked paprika, cayenne, and salt and pepper. Well, there's no salt on there, but I'm going to add some salt. And I have about a half teaspoon each of those, with about a quarter teaspoon of cayenne. And I'm going to go in with about a half teaspoon of salt. And I like to have it a little bit spicy, but I also like to leave some room to add some good homemade hot sauce, or my favorite salsa too. So I'm just going to give this a mix, get the spices in there and get it rehydrated. And you can eat it just like this, or you can cook it in the iron skillet or in a saucepan. It's great for spaghetti sauce, bolognese. It's just a great product anywhere you would use like a ground meat product. You can even add some chickpea flour or oat flour to this and make really yummy meatballs or veggie burger patties. And that's all I'm going to do with this. And I'm going to just pop the lid on it. I burnt my lid on the stove, by the way. If you notice the hole. It's been through it, kind of like me. So, just going to pop this in the fridge and it will be ready during the week. And all in all, this took me about 30 minutes to prep this stuff. And I have minimal dishes, which I really love. So I can get all of this put away, get everything cleaned up, and be on with my Sunday festivities. This week, I have to do a little bit of grocery shopping for the upcoming holiday. It's Thanksgiving this week. It's Thanksgiving this week already. But I'll see you in the morning. Good Monday morning, everybody. So I've already been for my run this morning, and I'm just getting ready to go to work. And I'm just having my chia pudding this morning, topped with bananas, simple, and just setting that aside while I make my lunch. Here I have some whole wheat, buckwheat sourdough bread, which turned out pretty good. It's a couple days old, so it's a little bit dry this morning, but I thought a peanut butter sandwich sounded so good for lunch. So let me show you this high protein peanut butter spread that I like to make. I just have some cashew butter or peanut butter and some PB2. I like to put in about half a scoop of vanilla protein, which is optional. A splash of coffee, because it's delicious like this. Just trust me. It turns out really super smooth and creamy. And it's high protein, and it's so satisfying for a quick lunch. I don't have to worry about heating up in the air fryer or microwave at work. And another thing that I take every day, I try not to ever miss, is this protein shake, which is just some plant-based milk. I use a scoop of protein powder. Oh, hello, little gnome. How cute is he? And a spoon of mushroom coffee powder. This one's Rise, which I really love the flavor of. It's the mushroom chicory. And I take this every day for an afternoon snack. Good Monday evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a lovely day. It's late in the evening for me, and thankfully I have a few things from yesterday that I prepped that I can just make a quick dinner. I have some of my seitan nuggets, and I'm just going to pop these right in the air fryer. I have 6 of those. And I'm just also going to toast up a little bit of my brown rice and buckwheat that I have prepped. If you haven't had toasted crunchy rice, it's so good. It's just a different texture there for you. And I really like the combination of this wild and brown rice with the buckwheat. It's so filling, and it's also high in protein and just has such a unique texture and flavor. So I'm just going to put some of that in, and I'm going to be eating this with some of my leftover kale salad that I absolutely fell in love with. But let me show you what this looks like. I'm just going to put a little bit of nutritional yeast and maybe a pinch of salt and pop this in the air fryer. So my rice and seitan, oh it's hot, is out of the oven. I just wanted to show you the texture on there. Oh, it's got such a satisfying texture. And I just have some of my balsamic orange vinaigrette I'm going to top this with. And that will be dinner. It's kind of a brown dish, but it's gonna be tasty. Gonna be tasty. I think there's enough good veggies and fruits and beautiful stuff in my kale salad. So on Tuesday morning, I decided to have exactly what I had for breakfast and lunch again. And when it came to dinner time, I thought a burrito sounded amazing. So I started by chopping up some red and green onion and some frozen mushrooms, some nice fresh kale, and some orange bell pepper, which I wanted to roll into a burrito in this nice lavash wrap. And I just had some of my seasoned pea protein, taco flavored. So good. It was so good. But this burrito unfortunately turned out to be an epic fail. An epic fail, which happens sometimes, not often, but when something like this happens, you just have to kind of switch gears, and you'll see this just did not hold together like I expected it to. And when I went to look at the wrap, I realized that I had bought a different wrap than I usually buy from this brand. So it just kind of fell apart. But that's okay. I ended up making an absolutely delicious taco bowl with just all of the ingredients I had already chopped up, and I just heated up the protein and topped it with some fresh bell pepper, and I ended up just breaking up the lavash bread and popping it in the air fryer until it was nice and crispy for chips for my taco salad here. And I'm just topping it with a simple chipotle sauce, which was just some chipotle seasoning and some vegan yogurt. And this turned out to be a delicious meal. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I have had a really good run this morning, and I just need to hydrate. So I just have my BCAA powder, and I have 2 scoops of that, and I'm going to add some liquid IV, which is my electrolyte of choice. And this is a really delicious flavor. It's passion fruit, and I just love it. I think it's great. And for breakfast this morning, I'm going to take along a quick smoothie, which is just some frozen kale, some almond milk, some vanilla protein powder, and frozen strawberries. This is a really quick, nutritious smoothie that I like to make pretty often to just bring along for the ride to work. And for dinner tonight, I am having this delicious pre-made carrot and ginger soup, which has like a mild curry flavor. And I just topped that with some air-fried tofu and some fresh parsley. And this was just such a warm, satisfying meal. So Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, and Friday got a little bit hectic here in the Dina Vegan household. So I did make a video on the things I was making for Thanksgiving dinner, but I wanted to share a couple of other meals I had with my meal prepped ingredients. So I did have this yummy flatbread with my seitan, with some kale, some barbecue sauce, and vegan yogurt, which was absolutely delicious, and I will definitely be making again. And I had another taco bowl. This time I had some romaine lettuce with some green salsa, and I added my pea protein and some black beans and fresh cilantro, and it was absolutely amazing. So I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Again, I appreciate you guys so much watching the videos. I hope that you got some good meal ideas, some healthy meal ideas this week. I love sharing them, and I appreciate you watching. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel and share the video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Bye!